Welcome to the Heroic Ties. I'm Jeff with the Halcyon Masters, and this is the story of Churnwalker. We set the stage for this video with our overview of the Halcyon and the Churn. I'll link the overview above, but for those that are all caught up, let's hit the intro. The story of the Churnwalker originates over 100 years ago in Gythia. During this time, Gythia was guided by powerful guilds, including the Mage Guild, the Scholars Guild, and the Cartographers Guild. The charter of the Cartographers Guild is to explore the unknown. This is no easy task in the world of Vainglory, as it's covered with the wild and deadly energy of the Churn, with only pockets of calm. Martim Walker is one of the Cartographers Guild's pro players. His work includes research into the history of dragons and the Churn. He is Vainglory's Jacques Cousteau, or Captain Ahab, fearless and willing to explore the unexplored. At his own expense, Martim Walker had a self-contained suit built specifically to explore where no Gythian has gone before, into the heart of the Churn. With the suit constructed, his first exploration is into a churn-infested volcano located in the Seven Islands. Let's take a second and hear Walker's own account of the experience.
I traveled alone into that heart of darkness, and I am unashamed to admit that I was terrified. All was silent while the Churn stalked me like a predator, sniffing at my fear. And then it began to speak. I heard its whispers in the small hairs on my neck, uttering a language I have never heard. When I spun to see what had whispered, I saw nothing. Soon it was inside my mind, replacing my own language, so that my thoughts spooled out in these strange syllables. Ebet, Ikro, Ido, it demanded, and somehow I knew to respond aloud with my own name.
While terrified of the Churn and the mind-blowing effects it had on him, Walker witnessed wonders beyond his wildest imaginations. Within the volcano, rock turned to soil, which turned to jungle, and the jungle was home to monstrous creatures, such as a pigeon that was the size of an eagle, and a flower that once plucked from the ground replanted itself. Walker admits he could have wandered forever in the Churn's endless wonders. However, as he approached the heart of the volcano, he was overtaken by a Churn storm. So powerful, the storm almost carried him away, except he was able to grasp a palm branch just in time. While the dangers were the same as a hurricane, it also affected his grasp on reality. Here are Walker's own words about what happened within the storm.
In the Churn storm, I experienced a most strange phenomenon. I saw visions of myself reflected in the fog and dust all around me. So disturbing were these visions that I couldn't bear to not embody them. In this one thought, I felt in my body a painful buckling, a sensation like all of my bones breaking, folding in on themselves, and then unfolding again into another of the visions. In this way, trespassing from vision to vision, I managed to make my way toward the visible sky. As my men pulled me by the arms to safety, I heard the whisper insist, Ikro Rive Shavod. I am told that I responded, Oida Vistishad. I do not remember this, nor do I have any understanding of this phrase.
The final exchange between Walker and the Churn likely translates into, "You will not leave," with Walker responding, "I will return." As a quick side note, if you are interested in learning more about the language of the Churn, Excoundrel has a great video that deciphers the text. I'll put the link above, and now back to the story. Walker's fellow explorers surmised that that would be any man's last journey into the Churn, given the horrors that they witnessed. However, It was the tip of the iceberg for Martim Walker, and the beginning of an obsession. To explore deeper into the churn, Walker started on Mark II of his suit, most notably adding the pulley and chain system. This contraption is designed to anchor and assist his movement in the event of another churn storm. Walker went back into the churn. It is difficult to track how long his subsequent expedition lasted, because time moves differently in the churn as it does in the calm. What seems like only a short excursion for Walker was months to his friends, fellow explorers, and family. During this time, however, Walker was able to explore vast areas of the churn by perfecting the ability to trespass. By trespassing, he could move anywhere the churn infested. With this talent, Walker recorded a complete map of the wells of power. His discoveries were truly amazing, but the monetary and personal costs were mounting. Every time Walker submerged, he'd leave some of his humanity behind and became increasingly obsessed and one with the churn. When he surfaced again, the calm appeared strange and he had difficulty remembering how to speak in Gythian. Replacing his native language was the whisper of the churn. His colleagues in the Cartographers Guild grew concerned for Walker's well-being. Walker brushed off their concerns, focusing more on his findings and their potential value to Gythia. Here's an example from Walker himself, which highlights his obsession and separation from the calm.
I must make these notes before I submerge again, for I forget more and more the language of my birth. I hear the churn whispering in and out of the calm now. The whisper is my only companion, or perhaps in either instance, there is only one living world for me now. For I am the churn, and the churn is mine, and I will not stop my work, never.
While self-funding his expeditions, the leaders of the Cartographers Guild now dismissed his findings and started to discredit his name. Beyond the damage to his professional reputation, a more severe consequence of losing favor with the guild is that Walker's family lost favor in Gythia. They were left penniless and abandoned. This is a good place to point out that all the accounts above are from letters sent from Martim Walker to the Cartographers Guild. The tone of his notes shift to anger and resentment. In his first act of defiance, Walker donates his entire personal collection to the Glass City. For a guy that's one with the churn, he really didn't have too much foresight on the city's longevity. While in the Glass City, Walker submitted himself to an examination by the city's physicians. Once his suit was removed, they discovered his flesh had changed, and the suit may not have been as sealed as Walker believed. The trace amounts of churn that seeped into his suit inoculated Walker against the fatal effects, but began to physically change him. I'd like to pause again and question, how would Walker not have noticed this before? Did he not take off the suit in a decade? And also, how would he then go to the bathroom or eat, or just imagine what he smells like?
How do you not smell that?
Okay, this is not about picking apart the lore as much as telling the story. Let's get back to it, Jeff. 90 years after his first expedition, a new guildmaster took over the Cartographers Guild and refused to publish Walker's work. In fact, his work was purged from the record. Maybe because no Gythian lived that long, maybe because the work appeared to be insane. Either way, this pushed Walker into the deep end, and he cut ties with Gythia, calling them swine and swearing revenge. Walker now looked at the world from the perspective of the churn, as he is more of legend than he is man. In his final excerpt, Walker owns his transformation into the Churnwalker.
So I am a monster, they say, the world over. And perhaps ide ikre kiove braka. For my name fades even from my own memory, along with my wife's voice, the laughter of my son, the taste of my mother's baked clams and crusty bread. Now I am a warning in 1,000 languages to naughty children. Never, no, never wander beyond the calm, for the Churnwalker lurks within. If it is a monster they want, then ikri askad fali.
Wanting nothing more than revenge, the Churnwalker bides his time to surface once more to lay waste to those that wronged him. It appears the time might be close, as a rumor of civil war in Gythia, a technological revolution in the Glass City, and a young Storm Queen are tipping the balance of power in the calm. Churnwalker must feel the time is right to make his move, as he has reappeared on the Halcyon Fold. He is here to help topple the empire that destroyed his life work, his family, and his name. We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Heroic Ties. If you did, take a second and press the like and subscribe button. And until next time, we'll see you on the Halcyon Fold.